Tripoli EDC back again with another knife video. This is episode 7 of the Knife Noob series. It's a series I do to acquaint new knife enthusiasts with concepts within knife collecting and different and knife evaluation that most people are afraid to ask, either because they're new or things that people want to know because they're new, or questions they're afraid to ask because they've been in the game a while and they just never really learn them. So today's topic is tip down or tip up carry. And a lot of people often ask this question: what is better, tip up or tip down? The truth is that it doesn't really matter for most EDC knives, but I do have a preference, and I'll tell you what that is. But there are some differences in why you might want to do one or the other, and there are some other types of knives that you might want to be aware of where there's a clear preference for why you would want to carry one or the other, and I'll go through that. So first of all, there is a difference between small, medium, and large knives in what's better for tip down, tip up carry, and there's also a difference for self-defense and EDC use knives. Now, I'm not a self-defense expert. I don't advocate using knives for self-defense, but it is something to keep in mind because it is something that people do, and it is one of the ways that knives can and are used. So let's talk about EDC first. And there's several sizes of knives, that people deal with. In general, you're going to look at, something small like this. This is a Spyderco Meerkat. This is Spyderco Delica, Benchmade Griptilian, and Spyderco Shaman. So a couple different sizes of knives here. And we'll look at the tip down, tip up aspects of it. So first of all, let's start with a medium knife, because medium knives are probably the easiest concept to get here. So one of the most famous medium knives is the Benchmade Griptilian. Spyderco Delica is also sort of on that, a lot of people would call this a full-size knife. I call this a medium knife. This is sort of small medium verge, and this is true medium to me. But a lot of people would consider this a medium. In any event, a lot of it has to do with your hand positioning, where the clip is relative to how you wear it. So most people will wear this in their pocket. And so and let me explain first of all what the difference between tip up and tip down is. So the main difference between tip up and tip down is where the tip is located and where the blade is located. So as you can see here on the Benchmade Griptilian, when the clip is being worn on the pants, the tip of the blade is pointing up. So this is called tip up carry. And this one, when this is being worn on the pants, let's say the pocket's right here, the tip of the blade is pointing down. So that's the main difference, tip up or tip down. The way you would, differentiate it is that the tip down clip, the clip is going to be located near the pivot, and on the tip up knife, the clip is going to be located opposite of the pivot. So you can see the clip is here, the pivot's here. So let's talk about how people mostly pull knives from their pockets. So if it's in a pocket here, the clip is on the outside of the pocket, the rest of the knife is submerged in the pocket. Most people don't pull it out here. Most people will grip it here where this indentation is, because it fits your finger right in there and creates some purchase to pull the knife out. Some clips have more retention than others, and some materials have more retention than others. So, this is smooth carbon fiber here, but there are knives like the Cold Steel Recon 1 and the Spyderco Paramilitaries, that have a rougher G10, as you can see. And this is the Para 3, by the way. But those rougher G10s can sometimes, create friction on the pocket and make them harder to pull out. So you do need a little bit of purchase on the clip when you pull it out. And so one of the reasons people prefer tip up is because you can pull it out of the pocket very easily, just turn it in your hand and go ahead and open it. It's very, very easy. And in addition to that, the added benefit is, if this is set up for right pocket tip up carry, so when this is in your right pocket, the blade is going to be up against the back of your pocket. So there's very little chance of it opening in your pocket as opposed to if I was to put this in my left pocket, it's possible the blade could open and stab me when I'm reaching into the pocket. So it is really important when you're, figuring out whether you're going to do left or right carry or tip up or tip down, that you take that into consideration. Now, in right-hand tip up carry on most knives, you're going to have you're going to have it so the blade does not open or will not open when it's sitting tip up in the right-hand pocket. The same is true in the left-hand pocket for tip down. In the left-hand pocket, a tip down knife will not open because it'll be up against the back of the pocket. So that's another thing to keep in mind. However, on a tip down knife, in the right-hand pocket, the blade is pointing down. So if you're putting your hand into the pocket past the blade here, you're not going to worry about it stabbing you. The only worry would be if it had opened up and, closed on you. But, that's probably not going to happen because if you have a good pivot, the gravity will probably keep it closed. Also, you should make sure your knives have a good detent anyway. If they don't have a good detent, you shouldn't be letting the blade face out in your pocket. So, again, the two main reasons for tip up, and this is why most people will prefer tip up knife carry in a right-hand setup, is because that blade is going to be stuck against your pocket, and it also makes it for easy manipulation. You pull it out and just slightly move your hand up, and you've got your open knife. The same is true for the small to medium-sized knife here. So you're going to, again, most people will pull it up by the spoon here, and then by the time they turn around, boom, ready to open. Again, pull it out, boom, ready to open. So small to medium, again, tip down. Now, small knife. This is, small to medium tip up. I shouldn't say tip down, tip up. This knife is tip down. Now, I actually disagree with the orientation of this knife. I believe this should be a tip up knife. I don't think knives this size really ever should be tip down. I think the reason this one is tip down is because it's meant for a fifth pocket. And I think it still could have been done easily tip up in a fifth pocket, but I think they wanted to do it tip down in the fifth pocket because it's just, in this case, this thumb indentation pulls it up this way, and, they needed to carve these out here because the way this opens and closes is by moving the scale. So I think part of this knife design limited it from being a tip-up carry. I'd have to go look, but I think Spyderco's other knives, like the Dragonfly, I'm sorry, this is set up for tip-down carry, but I think Spyderco's other knives, like the Dragonfly, are tip-up. You guys can double-check that. Let me know in the comments. This is getting into the territory, the Shaman is getting into the territory where I would still say tip-up is good, and I have it oriented for tip-up right now, but it is a knife you can make tip-down. The Spyderco Military comes tip-down carry only, which is a little bit larger of a knife, but not that much larger than this. But when you pull this out, again, your finger is going to pull it out of the pocket like this, and you're going to turn it around, and immediately, boom, you've got it open. So this is about as big as you're going to go before I would say start looking at a tip-down carry. So let's look at tip-down carry. So larger knives and self-defense knives are generally better tip-down because when you pull it out, so you're looking at here, when you pull it out, you're just turning it around and you're ready to open it. So again, you're pulling it out and you're ready to open it. Also, when you pull it out, you've already got your glass breaker ready. A lot of these knives come with glass breakers when you're tactical knives. So again, you're going to pull it out like this, and all you have to do is orient it and get up here. Now, if you're doing tip-up carry here, and this is not set up for tip-up carry, you can't carry this tip-up, but if you're doing tip-up carry, you'd be pulling this up, and you see what the problem is? This is hard to swing around because this is weighted here all on this side, and there's not much weight on this side. But even if I could swing it around, I'm climbing up all the way up here, to open this up. So that is not ideal to have to climb. It's awkward. It takes a lot of time. You risk dropping the knife. There's a lot of problems with drawing the knife that way. So tip down in this scenario makes perfect sense. This is the SOCP, Benchmade SOCP folder. This is the older model. They just came out with a new model. I did a separate video on this. You guys can look at it, where I talk about some of the differences between the older and the new model, which is quite different actually, but very much the same. And this is a long, thin knife meant for self-defense and piercing. This is meant, and this has a sort of a proprietary clip here. Now the new version of this has another deep carry clip that you can put on here, and the new version is set up for, with that deep carry clip for tip down, tip up, either way. This one's also set down for tip up or tip down, but it comes set up tip down, and there's a good reason for that. Because if this is a very long knife, if this is in your pocket and the clip is oriented on this side where those holes are, so you see where the holes are relative to the ring. So the ring would be about right here. So that ring is designed to help you draw it from the pocket. You put your finger in here and you draw it out of the pocket, or in this case, this also is meant, it's sized so that it can fit behind your belt. But either way, you draw it up and boom, it's already ready to go. Again, boom, turn it around, ready to go, right? And if it's over here, you pull it out of your pocket. Again, this side is much heavier than this side, and it's hard to swing up. And even if you were to swing it up, you have to climb all the way up here to open it up. That's a lot of risk of dropping your knife. That's a lot of risk of failing to open. That's a lot of risk of taking a lot of time to open your knife. Again, tip down is the way to go on the SOCP folder. Another large knife. An interesting knife is the ZTO452 because it is only set up for tip up carry. It is not drilled for tip down. It's tip up right or left, but it's only set up for tip up. So the reason that's interesting is because the clip on this is so short. I like the clip on this, and the clip is designed to not reach the lock bar cutout here. It's a nice short clip, but the drawback is it has really high retention, and it's very hard to get it out of a lot of pockets. So you'll start drawing it out of here, and by the time you get it out, again, it's a long, thin knife. You're climbing up here, and then you're opening it with the flipper tab. Again, you're pulling up here. You're climbing up and then opening it. It's just awkward. So this would be better as a tip down. If I pulled it out, boom, open. So that's the main difference between tip up and tip down. Just to recap, small to medium knives, most of the time, EDC sized knives, most of the time are better in a tip up orientation, especially right tip up if you can do it right tip up. Just because the blade then is centered to the back of your pocket like that. And as far as tip down, you're better off with larger knives and self-defense knives being tip down. Again, glass breakers on both ends. So also when you draw it tip down, you're ready to go with your glass breaker, in addition to being ready to go with opening the knife. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and drop a like on the video. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. How do you carry your knives? Do you prefer tip up, tip down? Does it make a difference to you for large or small? What's your preference? Also, subscribe to the channel and go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can get all my content. Thanks so much.